Hello everyone, my name is Julio Blamama. I'm a sales engineer with LiveAction based out of Palo Alto, California. And today I'll be walking you through the Cisco SD-WAN integration with LiveNX. And then we'll also talk about quality of service. Okay, so the integration with the Cisco SD-WAN is based on SNMP flow data that we collect from the VH devices or the CH devices. And we also have an API with vManage that we leverage to collect application IDs, performance, and inventory. This is a typical SD-WAN design where we have the SD-WAN controllers and then also the different sites and then the different service providers. All right, let's talk about the Cisco SD-WAN preparations for the integration. So basically, before you start discovering the SD-WAN devices, we will need to collect some of the information like SNMP, community string from the devices. We also need the site IDs, the LAN or management for connectivity to LiveNX. And then also for NetFlow, we need to collect IP address of the collector and the port. And then when it comes to discovering the devices, we will need to collect site IDs again. And then each site ID can be assigned to a site name. So it just makes it easier for the user to visualize the traffic going across different sites. And then when it comes to discovering the devices, you leverage the integration option within the LiveNX configuration, and then you add the vManage IP and credentials, and then you add your SN or your devices that you're interested in monitoring. You can do one device at a time, or you can do a range of IPs, and then you set the site IDs. And then after that, you add your community string that we've collected earlier. Just make sure your community string is set correctly, because if the community string is not correct, the API will still discover the devices, but they won't be reachable within the LiveNX interface. And then once you have all that set up correctly, you discover the devices. And then one of the cool things about the API integration is we will learn the network semantics automatically. So if, let's say, like your site IDs and your service providers and your WAN interfaces, and also the capacity on the interfaces, the tags, if you have any tags set up, that's all get learned automatically from vManage. And then once you have your devices discovered, you set up your site. So basically, to set up your sites, you go to the menu option, and then you go to site management. And then here you can set tags, or you can set the data center, or set business hours, or also if you want to show the site on the map, you can set a geolocation for the site. So this is basically just around site configuration. And then once you discover your sites within the engineering console of LiveNX, every time you discover the devices, they will show up on the engineering console, and then you can basically arrange these devices to come up with a topology that works for you. In this case, we have a San Jose site, we have RTP, and then we have the WAN connections here, and then we have other sites as well. And then within the topology view, you'll be able to customize the topology. So if, let's say, you have a WAN connection, and you want to create the SD-WAN link, you can right click on one of the or on the interfaces that make up your WAN, and then if you go to the merge clouds, you can basically create your service provider connection. Also, adding the app group DSCP mappings is very useful for bandwidth tracking or understanding the DSCP markings across your site. So all you need to do is you go to the dashboard within the engineering console, and then under the WAN, you'll be able to set your DSCP mappings. And then once you have NetFlow configured, you will be able to visually see all the flow data that the LiveNX collector is receiving. And then one of the cool things about LiveNX, it maps the flows to the site, so you can see how your SD-WAN traffic is flowing through the environment. And then after you set up your topology, you can add Cisco SD-WAN performance dashboard. And this is a dashboard that basically has all the information you need to get an idea about the performance of your SD-WAN. So it answers the question about, the service provider performance, and then your site performance, and then also the applications or the SD-WAN SLAs within your SD-WAN environment. Just keep in mind, you see a note here, we have a 30-minute delay. So basically, vManage sends data every 30 minutes, and this is normally not an issue for a lot of customers, because usually when we have SD-WAN, we're mainly looking at historical information, and with historical data, you won't have an issue with the 30-minute delay. And then the Cisco SD-WAN GU topology is a very useful topology, because here you'll be able to monitor the applications as well as the tunnels between your sites. And every time there is an issue on one of the tunnels, it will turn red. And if you click on the tunnel, you'll be able to see the different service providers and then the health of each service provider. And then if, let's say you're looking at one of your sites and you see there's delay between San Jose and Chicago, you can always drill down and get to the site-to-site Sankey diagram that will show you the traffic, the VRF, the DSCP, the service provider, and then the status of the status of the SLAs. And then there is a play feature here where you can go back in time and monitor the path change. Okay, so that was for the SD-WAN. Let's talk about the QoS features within the solution. So LiveNX is a very powerful solution for the day zero or QoS planning. So we have several reports that you will be able to leverage to baseline your network and understand the applications within your environment, so you can deploy your QoS policies correctly. Some of these reports that a lot of customers leverage are application reports, interface bandwidth summary, IPs and ports, site traffic, destination site traffic, and then the source site traffic. The filters are also very useful, because one of the hardest thing about QoS is being able to identify the traffic that you're interested in, and these filters can help you get to the traffic. So you can use these filters to track the QoS markings, and then the filters can be customized based on the traffic that you're interested in. So you'll be able to add port or IP ranges or devices, so you can make these filters very specific to the information that you're interested in. And then when you have the filter set up, you'll be able to apply it to the topology map, and then LiveNX will just show you the traffic that you have set up within that filter. So here we have RTP and SIP, and we're also monitoring the path of this traffic on the topology map. The IPs and ports report is a really powerful report to be able to track the applications, and then the DSCP markings of the applications. And then you can also leverage your filters. So if, let's say I have a voice filter set up, I can apply it to this IPs and ports report, and this report basically will show us all the details within that filter. NBAR is also one of the really useful features when it comes to QoS deployment. So instead of trying to create multiple ACLs for your traffic, NBAR will be able to help you mark the traffic based on the application name. So if, let's say, you're interested in protecting maybe Skype or WebEx, instead of, again, creating ACLs for all your Skype IPs, you'll be able to just match by the application name, and every time the routers detects Skype or WebEx, you will set the DSCP value that you have within your marking policy. This is just showing the different type of classes, and then the traffic, and then the DSCP markings, or the recommended DSCP marking for each traffic. The topology view is also very useful when it comes to tracking the DSCP mismark. So within the topology, there is a DSCP filter that you will be able to leverage to track end-to-end DSCP markings. And in this case, we're looking at voice traffic, and we see about 12 flows are not being marked correctly. So again, this is a very useful workflow to help you identify mismarks. The reporting can also be used to track DSCP. The DSCP report is one of them. So if you have specific traffic like RTP and you want to track the markings of it, you can apply it to the search field here, and then LiveNX will show you the different markings that you have within your network. In this case, we have about 80% of the traffic is not marked correctly, but we do see some traffic being marked EF. The user filter DSCP audit, this is a good report to be able to identify the site that's actually not marking traffic correctly, and then you can also leverage the search field here. So if, let's say, I just want to focus on one of my sites, I can type the site name in here, and then LiveNX will show us the markings at that specific site. The application DSCP audit, this is a similar report like the previous one, but this one leverages the application name. So if you have RTP or Skype or WebEx or some specific application name, you'll be able to type in the search field, and then LiveNX will display the DSCP marking for that application. The IPs and ports is again another good report to be able to track the DSCP. So if, let's say, in this example, we're showing the flow, the traffic that's marked correctly, and then here we're also showing the application. So if, let's say, I want to make sure my voice traffic is set up correct, or the DSCP markings for my voice traffic is set up correctly, I can just type the DSCP I'm interested in, and this report will show us all the details for that traffic. When it comes to creating your QoS policies, like your marking policies, your queuing and policing, LiveNX has a very powerful GUI that will help you set up your QoS from scratch. And this is just showing the VoIP class and how you can set up your match statement and the marking. And then when it comes to best practices, we always recommend applying your marking policies to the LAN interface of the router. So sometimes if you apply the marking policies to the WAN, even though you're still marking traffic correctly on the WAN interface, NetFlow data is not going to pick up that. And when you, let's say, you're trying to run your DSCP reports or trying to track DSCP across multiple devices, you will see an example like this where you see best effort, and then on the next hop you see the right DSCP marking. So even though you're marking traffic on the WAN interface, NetFlow is not going to show you that, and then this could affect your reporting. Okay, thank you very much for your time. To learn more or to download your free trial, please visit www.liveaction.com. Thank you.